So, today I have the opportunity to talk to you about a extremely strange little piece by Rick DeMarinis called Your Fears Are Justified. This is a very odd bit of work, just 3 paragraphs long, but with enough mystery and oddity that it kind of quite literally does take a half a dozen reads to really start to make much sense of it. That's one thing definitely to keep in mind with literature, is that if at first it doesn't make sense, it's not that the piece itself fundamentally doesn't make sense, it's just that it's probably open up to a lot of possibilities, and it just takes a little bit more time to crack open. So this strange little piece does provide some opportunities for interpretive possibility. One of the primary things is that since it is 3 paragraphs, each of the paragraphs does sort of have to be looked at on its own terms. The first paragraph itself obviously has our narrator on a plane. He believes that there's a bomb there. One of the big issues, of course, is the bomb real? He says, there's a bomb on this plane, I offer no proof, and yet I know. He gets panicked, he starts to freak out, the bomb is with the cargo, the bomb, no arm, does not explode. Some people have said that, there was a bomb on the plane. Other people say there was no bomb on the plane at all, and he's just paranoid. This is probably the more likely option. Or there is the possibility that the bomb is purely a metaphor speaking for what we are going to find out about in the second paragraph, which is that our narrator, in fact, does have a brain tumor. So where he says, there's a bomb on this plane, I offer no proof, and yet I know, he might actually just be talking about the brain tumor that he has, or the thought that he himself is the bomb. So those are some of the issues of the first paragraph. The second paragraph is just composed of this little conversation that he has with 2 people in the hospital in which they apparently want his heart. Because the husband in this situation has a bad heart, and they're kind of, less than inconspicuously implying that they would be interested in having his heart should he die from his brain tumor. Unfortunately for these people, he's not going to die of the brain tumor because it is macroadenoma and non-malignant, which means that it's a tumor that can be removed via surgery and will just, ultimately not result in his death. It does say she consoles me with a ladyfinger. That's a type of pastry, not just a creepy hand gesture. And that, he is sort of weak but still sensitive to threats after the surgery, but this paragraph is something that he does survive. It does bring up a much larger issue, though, in that, is our character crazy? That's the big question from these first 2 paragraphs, because either, quite literally, there's a bomb on the plane, or it's a metaphor, or in the second paragraph, these people really are after his heart, or there's the possibility that this brain tumor he has is actually causing some unnatural amount of paranoia within our character, and that there's not actually a bomb on the plane, he's just crazy, and that in the second paragraph there are these 2 nice old folks, in a hospital room trying to make small talk with him and offering him a pastry, but he thinks that they want his heart. So there is that question there. That brings us to the curious third paragraph, in which the first person is kicked up a notch, and it's supplemented by the second person pronoun you. I appreciate your interest. I honor your adrenal esther. Your fears are justified. There's the question of who he's talking to, and there are a few options. He could be talking to the couple from the previous paragraph. He could be talking to himself. He could be talking to family and friends, because it says, I will sit here in my living room and decide what to tell you. He could just be waiting for these people to show up in his living room so that he can tell them that he in fact had a brain tumor and had surgery to have it removed. Or, of course, there's the final option, which is that he is talking to you, the reader of the story, in which at the end he says, you have time to change your life. He could quite literally be giving advice to you. that you don't have to be paranoid, that you don't have to be afraid, even if your fears are justified. So this is another odd little piece of work where there's just not an awful lot here, but at the same time, there is way more here than you can possibly actually do anything with, because we have lots of possibilities. Is our main character paranoid? Is he crazy? Was the brain tumor causing problems for him? Or is he okay? Is he totally sane now? Was he sane all along when those people really did want his heart? All of these things are possibilities, and they bring up a key issue in regards to all literature. And this is the type of thing that you're going to want to keep in mind for all of the stories and poems and plays and screenplays and the novel and everything that you read in any sort of literary course. And that's that there's two primary questions to consider. The first one is simply, what happened? What was the plot of the story? This thing happened, then this thing happened, then this thing happened. That's the simple part. But too often, that's the part where people stop and they don't go any further. The second thing that you need to look for in a piece of literature is not just what happened, but keyly, what does it mean? That's the big thing, where you have to consider the larger interpretive possibilities. What is the author trying to say? What does this story represent? Okay, so you want to work hard to try to dig into that next layer. So for all the stories you think about on your leisure time or for a course, consider not just what happens, but also what does it mean.